Hello everyone, so a warm welcome or a cold welcome to Flinders University today. This lecture that you're attending live and online is our mid-year enrolment support lecture for all of our international students. What we're going to do to start off this presentation is with an acknowledgement of country by my colleague Jesse, and I'm Rupert.
Hi everyone, my name's Jesse, and firstly we just want to start off this presentation today with the acknowledgement of country. Some of you may have already heard this from other presentations, and I'm sure as you spend more time here in Australia, you hear it a lot more often. The purpose of this acknowledgement is just to acknowledge the original custodians of this land that we are now currently presenting on today. So firstly, we would like to acknowledge and respect the Aboriginal peoples as the state's first peoples and nations, and recognise them as traditional owners and occupants of the land and waters in South Australia. Now, moving into our presentation, obviously I assume most of you are here, as it states here, let me go one slide before that one, thank you, for mid-year enrolment support. Show of hands if that's the reason why you're here today. No? Only a couple of hands? Is everyone else here just for a free lunch? Show of hands? No? Read the wrong sign, followed a buddy? Well, hopefully by the end of today's presentation, if you weren't here for the right reasons, you will be, and if you're not, well, welcome for the ride and welcome to the lecture.
And we've got the heater on as well, so if anything, at least you'll be warm, okay?
Now, also as my colleague Rupert was just asking before, if you have the Event Air app on your phone or your device, we recommend opening up now, just because throughout the series of this presentation, we will have some live questionnaires and polls. We just want to get a quick gauge of some information about yourself and just to show that you're also able to interact with the devices as well. Everyone following so far? Show of heads.
And if you want us to slow down at all, just let us know. We're both very quick speakers, so just put your hand up and say, slow down, fellas. Okay, so we're going to start off with a poll straight away. So if you get your Events Air app up and running now, we're going to start off with the first poll question, that being, how long have you been in Australia? So if you could right now try and answer that one for us, we can kind of share some of these results with you.
There we go, already getting a few responses, great to see. So again, the purpose of these results is just to give us a gauge of an idea of how long it's been here. You might have only just gotten here yesterday, you might have rocked up from the airport, you might be wandering in with your suitcase right now, you might have been here for 3 years. Obviously, lots of people come from different places at different times. We just want to get a good idea of when exactly you guys arrived, as that will kind of help us shape the rest of this presentation. Isn't that right, Rupert?
That's correct. So we're going to give you another 15 seconds to answer this one, and then we're going to move on to our next question. All right, so we're going to stop there, guys, and we're going to move on to our next question. So just to clarify, we had 56% of people attending the session, both physically and online, have been here for less than 1 month. So a cold welcome to you guys, well, a warm welcome, obviously, just not so with the weather. We've had 24% of people that have been here greater than 1 month, 9% of people who have been here for longer than 3 months, and only 11% of people that have been here for longer than 6 months. So I'm sure that 11% have experienced the nice and warm weather in Adelaide, but yeah, obviously not today. Okay, so we'll go and start our next question. So the next question is, have you started the enrolment process?
So what that means is, have you already gotten your offer, you've got your student ID number, and you've started to enrol? Doesn't mean you have enrolled, it just means you've looked at it, you know what exists. Part of the reason you might be here today is that you've gotten that far, and now is where you've gotten stuck. Again, we just want to get an idea of how far you've gotten along. For some of you, maybe again, you've just arrived this morning, you don't even know what the enrolment process is, that's okay. Just want to get an idea and a gauge of whereabouts you guys are up to in the process. So go ahead and answer those questions to the best of your abilities. For any newcomers to the presentation, if you do have the Event Air app on your phone or your device, we recommend logging into it now so you can participate in these live polls. If you do miss a live poll, also for those of you from home listening to the live presentation, not the end of the world if you miss the poll. Again, it's just so we can get an idea, so we can better shape our responses for this presentation.
All right, we'll stop that poll in 10 seconds. All right, so we had roughly 29% that said they haven't started the enrolment process yet. We've had 19% that said they've started the enrolment process. And we've had about 23% of people that said they've started, but they've had difficulties. So that's why I guess you're all here watching. So that's a good thing. So hopefully by the end of the presentation, you won't be in that category anymore. So we'll move on to the third question, and that is, have you contacted Flinders Connect yet? So if you don't know who Flinders Connect are, obviously you can answer it that way. But a bit of a hint, that's Jesse and myself. So we work for Flinders Connect, and throughout your journey at Flinders University, I'm sure you'll have lots of interactions with us.
Yeah, so the Flinders Connect, we have the 1300 number, so you might have called the 1300 number. It's across many of our channels for contacts. We also have face-to-face support on campus here as well. We have emails. So you might have used any one of those services. And again, just to get an idea of how you guys have been using those services.
Cool. So we'll end that one now, and we'll move on to the next part. So what we'll do is we'll just go through today's learning objectives. So again, we want to introduce you guys to Flinders Connect. So as Jesse pointed out, so we offer services in 3 ways. So it's the online support through an Ask Flinders portal. We also offer phone support through our 1300 number. And then we also offer our support on campus, which is in Flinders Connect, so the central library on level 0. But we'll go through these services later on and introduce you to them. So we want to take you through the different Flinders applications, so the applications that you use throughout your learning journey here at Flinders. So there's a few different applications that we have. We'll talk about the really, really important ones. We'll take you through setting up your account if you haven't done so already. We'll talk to you about how to plan for your study, so knowing the topics that you have to enrol in this semester. We'll talk to you about how you actually carry out that enrolment process, so enrolling in a specific topic. Then we'll talk you through registering in your classes that belong to each topic, and then some of the important dates. And also, we just want to note that today, given that there's lots of people here and also online, we won't be able to offer any one-on-one enrolment support. So if you have any personalised questions, we'll give you that support of how you can contact us after the lecture, and then you can get those questions answered.
That's right. And then just to reiterate off of that as well, so we understand that a lot of you might be in different segments of the enrolment process. Some of you have already come here because you've tried enrolling, you've gotten stuck. Maybe you couldn't find the necessary resources. So we understand that some of this content for some of you, you may have already covered. The idea is that we're going from the start to finish as a good refresher tool. So that way, for those of you that are at the very beginning of the process, we can lead you the whole way through. For those of you that are towards the end of the process, can hopefully clarify some of those issues as well. And then it's a good tool to refer back to in future semesters as well when you go to repeat your enrolment for next year. Now, moving into our next poll of questions. The question that we have here is, how confident are you feeling right now about beginning your studies this semester? Now, confidence could mean anything in any fact of the word. Have you already started the?
No, I haven't. No. So.
That's right. I'll get my Rupert to do that one. So confidence could be anything from, I feel confident in what I'm going to be studying, or it could just be, I don't feel very confident because I don't understand how to enroll. I'm in a different country. Everything's quite confusing. Everything is just weird and it just doesn't make sense, and to the best of your abilities. So we've already got some people answering. That's great to see. And just again, for any of you that have just logged into our live sessions, any of you that might have just jumped in from the back, if you do have the Event Air app on your device and mobile, please log in so you can follow along with us with these polls. The evidence and the results isn't so much important for yourself, so if you do miss one, not the end of the world. We just want to get a gauge of how we can better morph this presentation as we go along.
All right, so we're going to close that one in 5 seconds. And we'll end that one now. Cool. All right.
So the polls here state that about 40% of you are confident, excited. It's really great to hear. We're really obviously passionate to hear about you, very confident. And I mean, guess being on exchange, whether you're doing a whole degree here, it's a really great opportunity and we're really grateful to have you, and we just want to say welcome. About 18% of you say you're probably okay. About 19% are a bit uncertain. 21% have said getting a bit worried. It could just be the more that you're starting to learn, the more concerned you're getting. And about 2% not confident at all. Ideally, that last 2% by the end of this presentation, can at least move up a couple rungs, but we'll see how we go with that one.
All right, so as we previously mentioned, Flinders Connect, who are we? So again, we are a service at the university to help you with a few different of your administrative stuff. So that being enrolment, so you might have a question about your enrolment, obviously that's why we're here today. You might have a question about your fees. You might have a question about your exams. Obviously you're not going to have exams straight away, so you don't need to worry about it quite now. And also things like graduation. Again, you're at the start of your journey, so I imagine that's going to be in a couple of years to come. And then also other services. We offer a justice of the peace. So if you ever need a service where you need a document certified, we offer justice of the peace at Flinders University on specific dates. So when are we open? We're open from Monday to Friday from 9 till 5. This is for the physical on-campus support, which is in the Bedford Park Central Library, level 0. So we're open from 9 till 5 on Monday to Friday, and then on the Wednesday we open a half an hour later, so we open at 9:30 till 5. So that's if you're wanting that's if you're wanting face-to-face support. So we have counters there where basically you'll go up, you'll pull a ticket out, and you'll be called up to a counter, and we can work through your inquiry face-to-face. And then the other types of supports, as I was previously talking about, which is the online support. So that might be where you're trying to enrol. There's a prerequisite that's stopping you from enrolling in the topic that you thought you were meant to enrol in this semester, and you can submit a case via the Ask Flinders portal, where we'll interact with you on that portal. And then the other one is the phone. So that's the 1300 354 633 number. And then specifically option number 2, we can chat to you on the phone about your enrolment or your fee or your exam inquiry. And we also have some special technology that can actually allow us to view your computer screen, so we can give you that really kind of specialised advice. And yeah, so who works for Flinders Connect? Majority of people that work at Flinders Connect are actually currently students as well. So they're actually studying whilst working at Flinders Connect, so they understand some of the difficulties that some of you guys may be facing. So, and then also we have just some staff that aren't studying, they're just working, and that's their job.
Cool, so we're going to open up the polls once more. So the next poll we have here is, do you know your personal details, your FAN and student ID? Now, just to clarify with this poll, we're not asking you to include any of those private or confidential information and details. We're just wanting to make sure that you guys are aware. Ideally, there should be 100% yes. If there are any no's, we might obviously want to address those ones later on to make sure everyone is aware of them, because they are very important. One, for logging into your devices, logging into student computers, and also to access things like the student Wi-Fi and whatnot. Yeah. So results coming in pretty good. About 94% says yes, I've activated my account. Great to see. About 6% so far have said no. That could just mean that you maybe only recently received your offer, or perhaps you're even still waiting on a conditional offer. And about 1% is what is a FAN or a student ID. For that 1%, the FAN stands for Flinders Authentication Name, FAN for short, and the student ID is a student ID number that is generally allocated in your COE on the top right-hand corner of your COE. It's a number that we use to identify students. So if we're looking up your account, perhaps you came in from enrolment support and you quoted that student ID number, we can locate your account, locate your studies, and help you diagnose the problem. So here's an example here on the board here of a student ID number. Student ID numbers, and then also the FAN. So I did notice my colleague accidentally, he's got the two backwards. So just to clarify, the first number, PAED 0324, is in fact the FAN, and the bottom number is the student ID number. The way we can differentiate the difference between these two numbers is the student ID number is a 7-digit number, generally always starting with a 2. For most of you, it will probably start with a 22. And then for the FAN, which is the name at the very top there, it is always 4 letters, or depending, because it's the first 4 letters of your family name. So if your family name, for example, was Oi, O-I, then it would only be 2 letters. So the first 4 letters or thereabouts of your family name, as well as 4 numbers adjoining. The 4 numbers means however many of that person there were before you in that iteration. So if you were the only first person with that number, you would be 0001, 0002, onwards and onwards. So the higher the number is, the more likely there are more with a similar family name to yourself. Now, moving on, we have Flinders applications. So with the Flinders applications, we have a lot of different applications we use here at Flinders University, and for those of you that might have already done study internationally or undergraduates internationally, or even just at other universities in Australia, you probably notice every university has its own university systems to help students navigate their enrolment, their timetable, and their online classes. Now, the ones that we specifically use here at Flinders are the Okta dashboard. Now, for those of you here in the crowd, just a quick show of hands, how many of you guys are familiar with the Okta dashboard? Okay, good, a good showing of hands. So the Okta dashboard is your primary landing page where you can find your emails, you can find your enrolment pages, you can find your parking details if you're driving a car, lots of different things on there. And following on from that, a lot of the other systems come from the Okta dashboard, such as our student system, also known as the student information system. This is where we complete our enrolment, where we complete our class registration, where we pay for all our school fees, exam timetables, results, everything is found in there. And then we also have Flinders Learning Online, which is where you'll be participating in all your classes, finding your assessment details, uploading your assignments, getting in contact with your teachers, all of that really important information. And then lastly, which we will also cover, is the handbook. Now the handbook, or Flinders University Handbook, is your course rules, the page where you can find all the information about your degree, whether it be a Master of Social Work, a Bachelor of Arts, an Honours, etc. It tells you all the rules of your degree, what you need to know in order to finish your studies and get that completion certificate for when you head back home. Now, moving on, Rupert.
So we'll get you to open your polls up again. We've got quite a number of polls today. And we just want to ask the question, have you used any of the applications before? So quite a few of you guys said that you've already are familiar with the Okta dashboard. We'll just get you to answer that question again. Cool. So we'll give you another 5 seconds. All right, so we'll end that poll now. So we've seen about 33% have accessed the Okta dashboard before. We've had 23% use the student system, 25% have used Flow before, and 15% of you guys have accessed the handbook. And then there's about 4% that have accessed none of the above. So hopefully after this session, we'll get you on there using all of these applications for their intended use. All right, so moving on. This is where we'll start now with the activation process. So this is the first thing that you'll need to do in the enrolment process. So this is where you'll get an offer letter, and in that offer letter, it will state your student ID number and also what you've been accepted into, what course you've been accepted into. It'll have your fees on there as well. It's about 9 pages long. So if you can see up here on if you can see here, this is an example of an offer letter. It's got the name of the person who has received the offer, and they've been offered the Master of Social Work graduate entry. And as you can see here, under your offer, this here contains the student ID number just down here where that black line is. And so this one up here, this is where you actually go in to activate your offer. So activate your account, the FAN. So what you would do is you'd go to where it says student ID number. So just up here, you have your student ID number. You'd put that one in as well as your date of birth, and then you'd say activate. Now, once you've activated, you'll then receive your student ID number, and you'll go into your student portal or your Okta dashboard, and you'll open up the student system, and that's where you carry out the rest of the process.
And then once you've started the enrolment process, one of the first things the student system will ask you to do is to update your personal details. So include things such as updating your citizenship and residency details, updating your cultural details, whether you have any disabilities or anything that might need more assistance with for your studies, and then lastly as well, your parent or guardian education details. Now that last question in particular, I'll quickly highlight because a lot of students see the question and they get a bit stumped or a bit confused about that question. The very last question is for statistical purposes only. So if you're not sure, answer to the best of your abilities, but don't let that hold up the rest of your enrolment process. Because once all of the pre-enrolment checklist options are open and finished, which says before enrolling you need to, that will then allow you to move to the next step of enrolment, which is when you actually select your classes. So we find more often than not a lot of students that say, I can't enroll. It could very well be that they haven't completed the before enrolling section. So really important that you check out that little section there. If Rupert, you want to highlight it?
Yeah, and it's just there where you see before enrolling, you need to. So it's all that list there that you actually need to complete. And once you've completed them, that orange box will no longer be there, and you'll actually be able to start enrolling in your topics. Again, some of you guys may have already done this, so we're just going over it again for other people that haven't done it.
And one thing I just want to address really quickly, on our Q&A section in the events portal, notice that a few students have been posting questions about visa-related content. Just to let you know, as Flinders Connect, we are sort of a general information hub, whether it be about enrolment, exams, fees, etc. Unfortunately, visa questions and anything visa-related is something that we aren't able to answer because we don't have that specific advice. That information needs to come from the International Student Supports team. So we do recommend, if you do have questions about visas, to forward them on to the International Student Support, whether you're in person, online, or in phone. We do have an ISS, International Student Services representative here today that we will be passing on those questions to, just so they're aware of. But any future questions, if you did have things about visa, just to let you know, we aren't unfortunately placed to answer those questions.
Now, just another important thing to note here, guys. We've highlighted NESB right there. The reason why, what we mean by NESB is a non-English speaking background. So I'm sure lots of you aren't from an English speaking background. You've done that as a second language or maybe even a third language. So in these details, these pre-enrolment tasks, you need to state firstly your year of entry into Australia and your home language, what you speak when in your home or what your mother tongue is. So it's important that you fill out that information because when we issue NESB cards, which will give you an extra 10 minutes on an examination, if you haven't filled out those details, you won't be automatically issued with that card. So it's an automatic process that happens each semester. So make sure that you've completed all of those questions in order to receive that NESB card automatically. All right?
Cool. So the next page we have here is the course rules. So as we mentioned earlier, the course rule is one of the pages that we use to refer to all of the pages in the course handbook as well. It's for your degrees. So again, whether you're studying Master Social Work, Sciences, etc., it talks you through all of your degree. It specifies the amount of units here at Flinders per topic, unless specified otherwise. We use the value of 4.5 units. Some universities might use 3 units, 2 units, 6 units. 4.5 is the standard unit value we use. So if you're ever told this topic is worth 4.5 units, that's equivalent of 1 topic, unless specified otherwise. Other things that we'll specify in here is such things as your core topics. Core topics are mandatory topics, must be completed, no other alternative. You may have option topics depending on your degree. Option topics means from a list of topics, select one of the following or more. We have specializations, which is also sometimes the equivalent of majors or minors. These are degree dependent, so things, for example, like a Master of Social Work, again using that as an example, won't have a specialization because it's only core topics. Rather, something like a Master of Sciences may have a specialization in mathematics or physics, and then for something like, for example, a Bachelor of Arts may have a major and a minor, all depending on your course rules. So moving on from here, we now have a study plan template. A study plan template is a very helpful visual guide to help you map out your enrolment. So when looking at the enrolment in your student system, some of you might find it quite confusing because it has a lot of topics. I've seen some people in the questionnaires saying, I have a lot of topics planned, but I can't pick any. Planned generally refers to that the topics are already there, more than likely because they're a core topic, so we've put them there for you. If they're not available for selection, there could be a series of different reasons from either we haven't finished the pre-enrolment checklist, we don't meet the prerequisites, the topics aren't available this semester, or perhaps we'll put in the wrong filters. Looking at these study plans here is what helps us help you, help yourself in terms of selecting the right topics for the right semester. So if, for example, any one of you were to come up to us during the counter session or over the phone and called up and said, hi, I'm a bit stuck, I don't know what to enroll into, the first thing we would generally ask you is, have you looked at your course rule? Have you looked at your study planner? So this is the study planner here. As we can see in this example here, the Master of Social Work graduate entry, it refers to semester 1 and semester 2. For those of you starting semester 2, which is the mid-year entry batch, we'd be saying, have you started with that semesters of enrolment? If not, having a look at the topics that it recommends, because more than likely those are the topics you need to complete. For some of you, you may have entered with credit or advanced standing, which means you have a very situational style of study plan. In those cases, we would have to recommend you onto your college, which gives specific course advice to make sure that you're filling the right requirements of your degree.
Cool.
Rupert?
So if you did have, so we do have for this degree here, the Master of Social Work graduate entry, there's probably a number of people that are listening to this presentation today that are doing this degree here. There is a mid-year entry study planner. So instead of that saying semester 1, that will start with semester 2. So it literally tells you every single topic that you need to do and in the study periods or semesters that you need to do them. So it's a really useful document. So we really recommend you guys accessing this study planner. So what we'll do now is we'll show you how to access it. If you were just on Google on your phone, so you would just, for example, go to Google and you would just type in Flinders Study Planner. And from Flinders, you see Flinders study plans, you'd open this one up and then you'd search for your course. So for example, that Master of Social Work, I would just type in the keyword social work and then you can see here, it says Master of Social Work graduate entry, mid-year entry. And as you can see now with this study plan template, it's got semester 2 there. So if you were doing this degree, you would be, and you were enrolling full time, you'd be enrolling in SOD 9102, SOD 9060, SOD 8020, and SOD 8021. They are the 4 topics that you would be doing this semester. So you don't have to find what topics they are and when they're offered because it's literally listed there. So in your first year, you'd start semester 2 and do those 4 topics there. On this one, it's also important to note, we have these little red topic codes here. What they symbolise is topic prerequisites. So for example, if you started in semester 2 this year and you didn't follow this, these 4 topics and you went to enrol in SOD 9226, it actually wouldn't allow you to. And the reason being is because you haven't met the topic prerequisites, which is all these topics listed here. All right, we'll close that.
Now, if everyone wants to open up their polls again, for those of you that have just logged in, once again, using the Event Air app, for those of you that have just recently entered the lecture theatre here, if you do have the Event Air app on your mobile device, I ask you to open up now so you can participate in the poll. This poll now, we're just asking, have you accessed your course rule or your study planner yet? So if you have, go ahead and answer that question. Now we'll leave it open for about the next 30 seconds just to get a gauge of how many people have accessed it yet. And we'll give it about another 10 seconds.
Now we'll share these results. So we've got 91 votes in total at the moment. As you now be able to see on your screen, we've had 13% or 12% said they've accessed their course rule, 21% have accessed just their study planner, 32% have accessed both, and 34% haven't accessed either document. So hopefully now you know where to find those 2 documents. So we're just going to end that poll now and move on. Cool.
And so now comes to the more important part about enrolling. So for some of you, you might have already given it a go. Some of you haven't gotten that far yet. Hopefully, as we talk through the steps, it might help. We will also be providing some online resources as well through the FISO page as well. So if you haven't already accessed your FISO page via Flow, highly recommend doing so, as there will be more information available. As part of the enrolment process, as we've discussed previously, some of the steps that it will include are things such as signing your enrolment declaration. Those are the terms and conditions of enrolling. We're also covering things such as whether you'd be a full-time or a part-time student. For the vast majority of you, you'll be full-time students, I assume. Only reason you might be a part-time student would be if there was some form of circumstance that was already talked about with your international student support services that would be preventing you from enrolling in a full-time load, e.g. maybe you've only just recently entered the country and previously you've been stuck outside due to the COVID bans and travel restrictions. Other things as well we're covering are such as semester dates. Flinders University uses 2 key dates. We use semester 1 and semester 2. We then have a couple other semester periods, but the primary ones are semester 1s and semester 2s. The other dates we use are non-semester 1, also referred to as January to June non-semester, and non-semester 2, July to December non-semester. Outside of that, we do also have SS for summer school, but not quite as common. The most common are semester 1 and semester 2, or non-semester 1, non-semester 2. So for most of you, you will fit into a semester 1 or semester 2. Some of you might fit in the other category, and some of you might also be a mixture. So it's always good when you're looking at enrolments, such as we have the example up here, where we can see it says availability under management, people and organisations. The availability firstly lists the year. In this example was from 2017. The availability period, semester 1, and then finally where it's located. Bedford Park internal, it could say Flinders Online if it's an online topic. All that information is included. So when you're selecting the availability, if your topic has more than one availability, it's usually recommended to pick the in-person version where applicable and where available, because you are currently here in person. For those of you that are currently overseas and aren't able to be here right now, understandably you will need to pick the alternative option. But for those of you that are currently here present, whether you're here in the lecture theatre or listening, picking in person is usually the best option. Now, Rupert, one other thing you would have wanted to talk about was the prerequisites.
Yeah, so we have, as I showed you on that study planner template, we have prerequisites, we also have anti-requisites, and we also have co-requisites. So what we mean by prerequisite is in order to enrol in this topic, you have to have completed another topic or be admitted into that degree. So I will show you an example of what a prerequisite looks like. Let's just open it up. And now, whoop.
So what Rupert's doing right now is generally what we'd often recommend doing when you're trying to find the handbook. We usually find the easiest way to find the handbook and most resources is to start from a search engine such as Bing or Google, because you generally can't get lost. And as you can see, Rupert, what he's doing right now is he's jumped onto Google, he's typed in Flinders Handbook, and from doing so has found the page. We find that sometimes if you try using the search engines on our Flinders University website, it can be a bit difficult to navigate and getting lost. So starting from Google is always usually the best start, or again, other search providers such as Bing, etc.
Okay, so I've put up the topic bile 3762, protein to proteome. Apologies, I can't really pronounce that one. So we've got requisite information here. So we have prerequisite information and anti-requisite information. Now these are really important because if you wanted to say do this topic as an elective topic or an option topic, you need to make sure you've looked at these prerequisite requirements to see if you meet them. So what are they? So in order to do this topic, you'd have to have studied Bio 2771, biochemistry, and also molecular biology, so Bio 2772. So you must have previously completed those topics. The other one is an anti-requisite. Now what we mean by anti-requisite is that if you've enrolled in any one of these two topics, so Bio 9005 or Bio 8005, it means you cannot do the topic, okay? So again, this would be more so in an elective, because with an elective, you can basically study, in most cases, any topic offered by the university, as long as you meet the prerequisite requirements, okay?
And next page. So right here now we have class registration and timetable. Some of you might already be up to this step now, and this is probably where you're trying to say, I want to fix my classes. One question we get more often than not from international students is, how can I condense my whole week into 2 days? I think that's probably the most common question we generally get is, how can I turn this week of 5 classes into 2 nice days? Maybe a Monday, Tuesday, I can have a nice, 5-day weekend. Wouldn't that be great, Rupert?
Or you might say, oh, my friend's enrolled in these classes. How do I enroll in exactly the same classes as what they have? So the caveat to this is we will facilitate that. We'll give you the support in order to learn how to do that. So for example, register in the same classes as your friends, but we can't actually do that for you. You have to carry out this process yourself unless there are technical difficulties. And if there are, that's when you would obviously contact us and we could assist you with that process.
And second to that, there's lots of different class components, which is part of what this lecture slide is talking about. So for some class components, it's just not possible to have a 2-day class week because your classes are automatically spread across. Some classes, nursing is a good example, has a lot of availability from morning to afternoon, just about every single day of the week, and that's because we have so many nursing students and with lots of varying timetables, we want to make sure we accommodate to them as best we can. Then other topics, for example, a Master of Engineering topic may only have one availability spread across a Monday, a Wednesday, and a Friday. Because of the smaller cohort, there isn't any other possible classes, so it picks it automatically for you, and there's no alternative. Those are the only classes. Now, in terms of class components, there are lots of different class components. We have lectures. Lectures are a bit like today. We talk, you listen. There might be a little bit of interaction, but it's mostly just listening and taking notes. Most lectures, where possible, are recorded, a bit like this lecture today, just so we note out, is being recorded. So if you've missed anything, you felt that we were talking a bit too quickly, you can re-watch the recording, pause, re-review the information, which is quite helpful.
Or if you're sick on that day, the lecture will display on your Flow topic page literally an hour after that lecture finishes. So you can almost watch it live. There's a slight delay in when that lecture, which automatically uploads onto the Flow page. So as we said, most lectures are recorded and will display on your topics Flow page.
And if in doubt, always ask your topic coordinator because they can advise you as such. Now, other classes that we have might be things like seminars, tutorials, workshops. All follow a very similar pattern, slightly different names because they have different objectives. Most of the time though, it's more of an interactive class, usually in a classroom setting with groups of tables, people talking around, either discussing things that was discussed in the lecture slides or maybe assignments, and it's a lot more interactive between teacher and between peers as well.
Yep.
We also then sometimes have other things such as practicals, computer lab classes, and then depending on the degrees, things like audiology, speech pathology have a lot more of those other very specific class types.
Yeah, and those class types tend to be the ones that will not be recorded. And in most cases, well, not most cases, in some cases, it is mandatory that you attend these classes because they may take attendance and that relates to your grade. So again, we can't tell you whether or not you do have to attend. You'd need to speak to your topic coordinator to get that information. We have a point here about a wait list. It's a bit redundant now because the wait list actually closed last Friday for this semester. But for your future studies, for example, next year, what we recommend to avoid being put on a wait list, and a wait list, again, is just basically where it reserves a list for students where a class is full. So to avoid being put on that wait list, it's as soon as the enrolment for that study period opens. So for example, in semester 1 next year, enrolment for semester 1 next year opens in mid to late November this year. Again, you don't really have to think about this now. I know you're just wanting to think about your enrolment for this semester, but we're just going to put a bit of a warning. So to avoid being put on a wait list, we recommend that you enrol as soon as enrolment opens for next year, which, as I said, will be mid to late November this year. So you've got a bit of time to worry about that one. But yeah, just again, it just means you've registered in a class, but the class was already full. So you'd be numbered there, so maybe from 1 to 10. So there's 10 other people on that wait list. And basically, if someone else withdraws from that class registration, the person first on the wait list will then get entry into it.
How many slides do we have left?
Yeah, we're fine, keep going.
So what we've listed here is enrolment mistakes. So sometimes when you're enrolling, you might make a mistake. You might have accidentally enrolled in the wrong class, or maybe you picked the wrong availability. For example, in a previous example, it said in-person. Maybe when I'm enrolling, I accidentally picked the online class, and then later on, I realize I've accidentally picked the online class and I need to be in all my in-person classes. You can then go back into your enrolment, and you can then withdraw from your classes, and then re-enroll to choose the right availability, because sometimes the availability is linked to the enrolment itself, which means you need to withdraw and re-enroll. If you do get stuck, feel free to ask for help, but otherwise, as it says there, you will need to withdraw. And other things, as we mentioned at the start of this presentation, we give general enrolment support, so general sort of technical help in terms of enrolment. Anything very specific, or you might say, I've already done 3 classes, but I failed a class last semester. How do I go now? What do I do? That terms to fall into advice, and when it becomes advice related, that's where we have to recommend you onto your college. So we have 5 colleges in total. We have the College of Business, Government and Law. We have the College of Education, Psychology and Social Work, the College of Humanities, Arts and Social Sciences, the College of Nursing and Health Sciences, and finally, the College of Science and Engineering.
And just to clarify, every single course has a college, as Jesse was saying before. So your degree that you're doing or your course that you're doing, for example, a Master of Social Work graduate entry, that course belongs to a college, and specifically in your Master of Social Work, that belongs to the College of Education, Psychology and Social Work. That's pretty self-explanatory, that
Some
one.
degrees are less self-explanatory and they're not in the name of the college. If you're ever in doubt, if you look at your course rule and the handbook, on the right-hand side, there's a little menu that talks about the unit value, standard duration. It also mentions your college, who looks after your degree. So if in doubt, refer to that page because it will specify who looks after your degree.
So another example of where you might want to get some course-specific assistance would be, I'm doing a Bachelor of Arts, and in your Bachelor of Arts, you have majors and minor sequences. So a major and a minor sequence, as we've kind of previously talked to, is where you would follow a sequence of study of specific topics. And you might go, oh, I like the look of criminology, but I really, really like creative writing. What should I do? So in this instance, we would put you on, or we would get you to contact your college, because they can talk to you through what the outcomes are of doing the criminology as a major, as opposed to doing the creative writing as a major. Flinders Connect, we can't give you that specific support. That would have to be a college inquiry. So that's kind of the difference between the two.
So once again, for those of you that are logged on online, those of you in person, if you can open up your Event Air app, and we're going to open up the next poll. Have you completed your class timetable? Also referred to as class registration, meaning you've enrolled in classes and now you've picked the times that you're actually going to be attending, whether in person or online, the place and time that you're going to be attending your classes. So just go through that poll now. Give it about 30 seconds for that one. How many slides do we have left in total? Just curious, because if we have a bit of Q&A time, ideally. And whether we have to speed it up or not. We're up to there.
We're up to here. So we've got 9 slides, so we'll speed it up.
So if we get to 10, say 10 minutes, and we can leave the Q&A.
Yeah, cool.
Cool. So we're getting a good resound of results there. Was it this one? Or?
Yep, so we'll just end that one now.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and share those results now. And so far we've got about 34%, so about 1/3 have said, no, we haven't done a class registration yet. About 30% I've only enrolled, so effectively around a similar rating. And about 33% said I haven't done either. So in that case, it looks like quite a good chunk of you, whether you're here in person or online, have probably gotten somewhere to the point of enrolment, but we haven't quite gotten the class registration step. So good to know that obviously everyone's around a similar boat, which for your own self is a good reassurance to say you're not the only one. So don't feel that, gee, I'm the only one that hasn't registered for class, everyone else has done it. As the poll indicates, well over half of you haven't gotten that far yet, and there's nothing wrong with that. Classes don't start till next week. It's the same reason we have these sessions here, so we can help try to give you the info needed to get registered before classes start next week.
Okay, so moving on, we're going to speed through these last few slides so we can open up some question and answer time. So ordering an ID card. You might go, I want to order my ID card. So before you can order an ID card, you have to have completed your enrolment, and you would have to have completed it 24 hours ago, okay? So you can order your ID card either online through your Okta dashboard, through an application called Capture Me, or on campus at Flinders Connect. So visiting us physically, we can print your card off on the spot. You just need to make sure when you do come, you bring in some type of photo identification. So that could be a passport, it could be a driver's license, but it has to be some form of valid photo identification, okay? Important dates. So we have a few important dates that we've kind of discussed about in this presentation. So the real main ones that you need to watch out for are last day to enrol date. So that is Friday of teaching week 2 in each semester. There's a payment due date, again, Friday of teaching week 2 in each semester. We have a census date. We also have a last day to withdraw without failure date, and also a last day to withdraw fail. So you can access these dates on this link here. So again, we're going to make this presentation, these slides available to you guys. So you'll be able to actually go on and click these hyperlinks and bring up all these different dates. But essentially, the last day to enrol date is self-explanatory. It just means that you have up until this day to enrol and register in your classes. And if you don't, you'll need to contact us. Payment due date, that's where obviously it's a little bit self-explanatory. You'll need to make sure you paid your fees by that date. Otherwise, we have a wonderful fees tier 2 team, and they'll probably chase that up with you. We also have the census date. So the census date is the last day to withdraw from your topic without incurring a topic grade and also any fees for that associated topic. We have a last day to withdraw without failure date. So if you withdrew by this date, but it was after the census date, you would incur the fees for the topic, but you wouldn't get a grade that would affect your GPA. You get a WN grade. And then we had the last day to withdraw fail. Again, that's pretty self-explanatory. If you withdrew after the last day to withdraw without failure, but before the last day to withdraw fail date, you would just receive an F grade, and you'd also incur topic fees for that one. So again, we have documents that are available to you guys. You would have been issued with a few of these already. For example, if you've received your offer and then you've enrolled, you would have a COE, a statement of account. What we can do with a statement of account is, well, you can actually download it yourself in your My Finance or My Documents in the student system. This would just show any payments that you've made throughout your history at Flinders University. And we can also do things like give you an unofficial academic transcript. Again, you can download that one yourself, but it's important to note you would have to have completed a topic in order to download that one. So, support and services directory.
So just to finish off before we get into our Q&A, so a couple of different support services. One of them is us specifically, as we said, Flinders Connect. We have other services such as our IDS, Information Digital Services, also known as IT. So if IT is a pretty generic term, but IDS is the term that we usually use here. We have our college support, which is the 5 colleges we've mentioned before. We have FUSA, the Flinders University Student Association, a great area to go talk to for any sort of academic advocacy or someone to speak on your behalf about things, whether you feel that you're not being represented properly. We have our student learning support services, which is great for if you're just feeling a bit lost about writing your assignments. You need a bit of help, sort of better understanding the questions in your assignments. Health, counselling and disability services. So we have a general practitioner, doctor services. We have counselling services and services for students with disabilities or access plans. All free services for students. And lastly, we have the Flinders Library, all free and accessible to students.
Okay, so we also have a frequently asked questions page. So if you have a question and you want to save some time, you could open up this frequently asked questions page, and lots of your questions would already be there answered. The question would be there with the answer also there. So for example, if you were like, oh, I want to withdraw, how do I withdraw? You'd open up your frequently asked question, and then you'd type in there as a current student, how to withdraw from my topic, and it will actually come up there with the instructions of how you carry out that task. So another important thing that we want to stress to you guys, please access your FISO topic on the ISS flow page. We have a module there called Enrolment. Now, on this module, we have screen recordings of someone enrolling in their topics for the first time. And not only the enrolment, all of the things that we've discussed about, there's screen recordings there of someone in their student system completing all of these processes. So we would absolutely recommend you guys access this one. It will be available in the next hour, okay? So, last question we want to ask you guys before we go to a live Q&A. Please open your polls, and we want to know now, how are you feeling about the enrolment process? So we've got better than before. Hopefully, you're all better than before. We've got the same as before. We've got worse than before, and we've got confused. So we're going to leave this one open for a further 15 seconds to get a good gauge. And if you're feeling confused, it is 100% okay. We have those support services available for you guys to access as soon as this lecture finishes. Or you could walk out now and access them now. Please don't. All right, so we'll stop this poll now. And we'll share the results with you. So we've got 66% that are better than before. Thank you very much. We wanted to hear this. We have 10% of you feeling the same as you were before. Importantly, we've got 0% that are not worse than before. So everyone has, hopefully to some degree, got something from this lecture. And also 24% of you guys are still feeling confused. And I said, again, it's 100% okay. We're here for you from 9 to 5. You can come to us at any service, online, on the phone, or on campus. So let's go now to a live Q&A.
So
all right? 8
minutes left. For those of you that don't want to hang around, feel free to leave now. For those of you that do want to have some questions, feel free to raise your hand, and Cassie's got a microphone she can come around to.
And the last thing we will say as well is we're going to do a live enrolment session on the 20th of 27th. We're actually going to display someone on the screen enrolling for the first time. So if you want to watch that, we will be, I'm pretty sure it's back in the same room. It's online anyway for you guys to access those dates. On the 20th and 27th, which is Wednesday this week and Wednesday the following week, we'll actually display someone completing the enrolment process from start to finish. So we'll actually take you through that. All right, so first question.
Yeah, so how do we address overlapping topics? Like same day, same schedule?
Yeah, Okay. So the question was, how do we work around clashes on the same day? Great question. I think we had a similar question I'd starred in the online one, so we can make a note of that as well if you'd like, Rupert.
Sure.
So if you have a clash on the same day, and I assume it's probably between 2 different classes or more than 2 different classes, correct? Yep. So if you did have one of those ones, usually the first thing, if you were to call us and say, hi, enrolment support, I need help, I have a clash, we would try to look to see, are there any alternative solutions? Whether that might mean you might need to re-change your timetable. Sometimes students don't want to change the timetable because they have the perfect 2-day timetable except for that clash. If that does happen and there isn't any feasible alternative, e.g. there isn't a topic offered on a different day, and it could be, maybe there's a class on a Friday, but you just don't like Fridays, you want to have Friday off. If that was the case, it'd be, unfortunately, you're going to need to take that Friday class. If it's not the case, then you can submit an ask Flinders request, which is via email, which we can forward onto your college and say to the college, hi, this student is experiencing a timetable clash. There's no unavoidable option. Sometimes you might not be the only one. There could be 10 other people in the same room here with the exact same issue. So it's good that you raise your concerns soon so then we can pass them on. It could be that lots of people have the same issue and they need to open a new class, or they might need to say, based on that, we'll try to make an exception. Or lastly, sometimes what can happen, it could be a clash between a lecture and a workshop, a lecture and a practical, etc. As we mentioned earlier, lectures are generally, in most cases, recorded. Good to check with your topic coordinator. If that is the case and it's between a lecture and something else, more often than not, you could attend the other class and watch the lecture. But if it's between, say, 2 workshops, that's when a request is usually best because we can forward it on for you. Any other questions? No questions at all? What time's lunch? Yeah. Cool. No, that's all right. We can go to online. I started a couple of questions there. We've got them here. So
Just read them out.
yeah. So the first question we have here is, do we need to enrol for the entire duration of the 2 years, or in this case, could be 3 years, 4 years, 5 years at once? Or can we enrol as per the semester starts, and then after the first semester, enrol for the next semester?
It's a very good question.
Yeah, you want to take
So
one?
with that question, you cannot enrol for your entire studies. As I was talking to you before, you can only enrol in that academic year. So if you are commencing mid-year, which most of you guys are, what that means is you can only enrol now for semester 2 of this year. You won't be able to enrol for any of your topics next year. Topics next year will open up in mid to late November this year. So yeah, simple answer, no, you can't enrol for your entire studies. You can only enrol for that academic year.
And then, yeah, usually enrol 1 year at a time, so you just do it bit by bit. The next question we had was, that one's disappeared.
Yeah, because Cassie's.
Oh no, I think she got rid of it.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Said, hi, I've enrolled in the Master of Education degree. However, there is just one study planner available, but no mid-year study plans. Could you pull up the study planner, please?
Yeah.
I'm also having some trouble enrolling in my core topics as shown in my study planner, starting from semester 1, not semester 2. So Rupert, just going to quickly open up a study planner. I think you have one on your presentation, just for example's sake.
I'll just see if that actually exact one is there.
So we talked a bit about study planners before when I mentioned that visual representation and guide. Sometimes you may find there isn't one that has mid-year entry. Ideally for all of you, you will probably want the mid-year study planner. I say all of you, but not every single one. Some of you might have already...
No specialisation, okay.
Some of you might have already started your degree in the very first semester. You've only just recently entered the country. If that's the case, then in that way, you probably would still be from the first half year entry. So it depends on when you started. But in some cases, the study planner here doesn't list mid-year entry. If that is the case and it doesn't say mid-year entry, it's good to usually recommend contacting the college. At the bottom of this study planner, ideally, there will be some contact information at the very bottom there that tells you how to send in a request. So as the person that's emailed in a live Q&A, if you find yourself in that situation and you find a study planner but it's not a mid-year entry and it's just not matching up with your study plans or your needs, use the contact at the bottom to ask for a personalised study planner, especially if you've come in with advanced standing and credit. Your study plan might not look the same as everyone else's. So it's good to ask for something personal to you, just so that way they can help you map out your needs and your studies so you're not just following a generic study plan.
Do we have any other questions in the audience at the moment?
I think there's two more.
Two more. I think so. Next question is, my enrolment showing for plan for most of the units and I'm not able to tick the enrolment option. As we talked about before, there could be lots of reasons for that. It could be that you haven't completed the pre-enrolment checklist. It could be that you don't meet the prerequisites, the anti-requisites or co-requisites. It could be that the topic you're trying to select might not be available for semester 2. You may have changed the filter options at the top, which could be messing up with the filter. For example, if you're only looking for semester 2 topics, but the topic you need to enroll into is a July to December non-semester topic, that would also mess up the search filters. And sometimes that topic just isn't on offer. And if that were to happen, that's where your college would need to fix that issue. But again, you could always send through your questions. And we usually ask when you send an email to provide a screenshot, because then if we can see the whole page, we can get a better idea of what the issue might be. And last question there, Rupert.
I've tried registering myself into classes for the enrolled subjects, which are Health 1306, INDG 1000. However, the component of Psych 1108 is not available on my timetable. Now, this is a very good question. So on your timetable, if you've enrolled in an online topic, in most cases, that topic will not display on your timetable. So you'll look at your timetable and you'll go, where's my topic? I've enrolled in it, I've registered, and I can't register in the classes. The reason why is because online topics don't have classes to register in. So the actual topic will not display online. That being said, there are some online topics that do have specified times where you need to be online accessing a different system. So if it's not there, but you know that you've enrolled in it, the reason why is because online topics don't display. on your timetable.
I'm also just going to jump in here, everyone. So I'm Cassie from ISS. As an international student, your visa requirement is that you must do at least 33% of your studies, or you can only do up to 33% of your studies online. So you must always have at least one face-to-face topic in a semester, and you can do no more than 33% of your studies online. Being that you're here in Australia, I'm encouraging you to do as many face-to-face